Hey, I'm Ashley. I have a twin sister, Harper. This story is about us. Identical girls whose lives couldn't be more different. Welcome to the St. Hopelessness Orphanage on the outskirts of Boston. Harper and I ended up there when we were barely a month old. It was the most depressing place in the universe. Its principal, Miss Carter, genuinely hated children. Your parents were homeless nobodies. I'm sure you'll end up just like them. My sister and I painted our room with the crayons we'd stolen from school to bring some colors into our gray lives. Sue us. But our best art project was our dyed hair. You look like clowns.
Don't worry, you're still the head of our circus.
Of course I was punished for that joke, but it was totally worth it. Harper and I also liked to play a game we called Twin Spies. We imagined we were special agents investigating funny cases. For example, we would try to find out why Miss Carter was so mean.
Agent Ashley, I've cracked the case.
The real principal was abducted by aliens, and an evil alien took her place. Good job, Agent Harper. That game helped us escape from our harsh reality. After all, in our case, there was no two for the price of one discount. No one wanted to adopt two girls at once. So, when yet another couple came to our orphanage, we didn't care much. While the other kids were trying to look their best, Harper and I weren't expecting anything. We want to adopt her. You can't separate us. I go where she goes. Harper kept shouting and wouldn't let go of me. However, when Mr. Moss picked her up, her hand slipped out of mine. Great choice. Please follow me into my office. I crept up to the door of her office and overheard that Mr. and Mrs. Moss were rich. They owned a yacht and a huge house. I realized that I had to let my sister go. However, when they sat Harper in their car, she suddenly broke free and ran towards me. Ashley, I don't want to leave you. You'll be better off without them. No matter how far away you go, nothing will break our bond. It was the quietest night of my life. I stared at the empty bed next to mine and couldn't fall asleep. Hi, I guess you're my new roommate. I hope you don't snore. Soon, it was Harper's and my birthday. I wanted to congratulate her and ask Miss Carter for the Moss's address. That's confidential information. You're here and Harper's not. You'd better accept it. No way I was going to do that. I put my pet mouse on the director's head. Get this monster off me! Meanwhile, I sneaked into her office and found out my sister's new address. The mansion looked amazing when I arrived. The Moss's mailbox was bigger than my bed. I rang the doorbell for a long time, but no one opened the door. They moved as soon as they adopted a little girl. By the way, she looked a lot like you. That was my sister. Do you know their new address? When the woman shook her head, I felt like crying, but instead, I looked at the house and whispered, I hope that wherever you are, you're happy, Harper. Years went by, and I turned 17. Several couples had tried to adopt me, but they always returned me like one would return damaged goods to a store. I guess I was too willful for these families. Look who's back. No one wants to take you in. I wonder what's wrong with you. Miss Carter deserved to live in a hell of burnt waffles and broken air conditioners. I decided to avenge myself and all the other poor children in our orphanage. The principal had somehow gotten the money for a fancy car, and I got an idea. I knew my new spray can would come in handy. A surprise inspection at the orphanage. It was time to let my mice run free. Miss Carter was mad because she knew it was all my doing. I'll find a way to send you to juvie. Mark my words. I only managed to save up enough to buy a cheap phone, so whenever I needed to send an email or Google something, I had to use a computer in our library. Of course, I never stopped trying to find Harper, but either she was not on any social media, or she simply didn't want to be found. Besides, Miss Carter wouldn't let me use the computer for long. Time's up, Ashley. Get out of here. One day, two girls were left at our orphanage, Louise and Linda. They were twins. Tiny and scared, they looked like two fawns on a highway. They reminded me of myself and Harper. I started to look after them like I was their older sister. I brought them cookies and gave them my old crayons. Remember, as long as you two stick together, no one will be able to break you. I wouldn't listen to her if I were you. She was separated from her sister. Ashley will always be a loser from an orphanage, and there will be nothing but suffering in your lives either. By the way, I forbid you from talking to these two. That's an order. My eyes started to twitch. Beside myself in anger, I grabbed a bat to smash Miss Carter's car. But then I realized something. That's what she wants. To make me lose my temper and send me to juvie. That cunning witch. I decided to stay in an abandoned school until I cooled down. Harper and I used to play there when we were kids. I was making dinner when I suddenly heard footsteps. I knew I'd find you here. Harper, you look amazing. like you came out of a cool commercial. Well, you look like a fashionable tramp. Get over here. After hugging and happily crying for a long time, I asked my sister what she was doing here. We moved to England right after I was adopted. I went to a private school, did ballet, and wanted for nothing, but I thought about you every day. Mr. and Mrs. Moss didn't want us to keep in touch. They made sure I wouldn't be able to find you, but I sent letters to the orphanage anyway. I knew Miss Carter would never let you see them, but I still did it. I didn't know your phone number, but recently, my adoptive parents decided to move back to Boston. We hugged again, and then Harper suddenly turned serious. There's something else I need to tell you. Don't freak out. Freak out? I live in an abandoned school and I'm friends with mice. Before we moved back to Boston, I came across some documents and found out something. What's this? A non-disclosure agreement. You and I became unwilling participants in a social experiment. Some scientists wanted to find out what would happen to identical twins if one of them was sent to a good family and the other was left in a terrible orphanage. You're kidding me, right? I'm not. We were separated for the sake of science. Those scientists paid the Mosses to take good care of me and report my progress to the research center. Miss Carter was probably paid to turn your life into a living hell and send them reports about your behavior. Come to think of it, I've been wondering where the director got the money for her expensive car. Neither she nor the Mosses would ever admit that they knew about the experiment. We need to get to the bottom of this. Sounds like a case for the twin spies, am I right? Absolutely. Whoever's behind this experiment changed our fates and separated us. They must pay for it. My adoptive parents can't see us together, but you shouldn't stay here either. Harper used her premium bank card to pay for a hotel room. It was the first time I slept on a bed that soft. We spent the whole night chatting and eating chips. The next morning, our investigation began. Where do we start? Let's start with this. We used Harper's laptop and found out that it was a logo of a private institute of behavioral psychology. We were even able to find out its address. It was a couple of hours away from us. Harper called a taxi and a guy called Hang came to pick us up. I'm at your service, ladies. Where are we going? Soon we reached the institute. It looked like it had been abandoned years ago, but Harper and I decided to go inside and take a look around anyway. I used a hair clip to open one of the archive cabinets and flipped through the paper folders inside it. Meanwhile, Harper tried to turn on one of the old computers. That was a fatal mistake.
An attempt to hack the system has been detected. Self-destruction in 10, 9, 8.
That's our cue to get out of here. I grabbed one of the folders and we ran to Hank's car. Hit the gas! The moment we thought we were out of danger, a suspicious car got on our trail, but Hank turned out to be a good driver and managed to lose it. Thank you. Don't tell anyone where we went. Harper and I came back to our hotel room and saw that someone had been there while we were gone. Whoever was behind the experiment was trying to intimidate us. We didn't trust the police, and it wasn't safe to stay in the hotel anymore. I suggested we go back to the abandoned school. We read the folder I had brought back with me. It was full of notes on multiple experiments on twins. The project had been going on for at least 15 years, and Harper and I were far from the first test subjects. How many names and addresses are in here? Look at this girl, Samantha Smith. Lives in Boston. We should go talk to her. I'll call Hang. However, we heard strange noises and heavy breathing when he answered the phone.
The car's chasing me again. What have you gotten me into?
He hung up, and we realized that the only way to help Hang was to find out who was behind it all. We found Samantha's house and told her about the experiment. She seemed terrified and looked around nervously. Have you been followed? I don't think so. Get inside. Her basement looked more like a detective's office. 15 years ago, I was separated from my twin. My sister was adopted by rich people, but I was left in an orphanage. After that, they watched me like I was a guinea pig. I realized that something was wrong and started to investigate. Here's everything I've been able to find out about the Research Institute over the years. It's a huge network. They have people all over the world. That means they've ruined a lot of lives. We need to stop them. All of a sudden, we heard loud footsteps upstairs. We carefully peeked out from behind the basement door and saw people in black. It's them. I'll hold them off. Run away. She pointed at the small window in the basement. Before we left, Samantha shoved a piece of paper into my hand. These are the names of the scientists who came up with this experiment. Find them. I swear they'll pay for everything. We ran back to the abandoned school. I wanted to immediately tell the whole world about the experiment. No, let's Google the names of these scientists first. What if those men in black are already on our trail? We should tell people about them in case something happens to us. I took Harper's laptop and started a stream. At first, there weren't many viewers, but the more I talked about our investigation, the more people joined it. Why did you do that? You aren't following the script. What? We were supposed to find out that the head scientists are our parents first. What are you talking about? Okay, listen. The experiment, the research institute, the chase, none of it was real. Hang, Samantha, and everyone else were just hired actors. Everything was going according to my plan until you started the stream. When the Mosses and I moved back to Boston, I found some documents about our biological parents. They aren't homeless and only left us in an orphanage because they weren't ready for children. I came up with this game so that you and I could get close to them. Why, Harper? I was tired of swimming in money, going to private schools, and traveling all the time. I missed the adventures we used to have when we were kids. I wanted us to be twin spies again. Why are you mad? You escaped to a fairy tale, but I've been surviving in hell all these years. How dare you complain about your perfect life? Ashley, I get lost. I returned to the orphanage, and Miss Carter greeted me with a nasty smirk as usual. The police are looking for you, runaway. But first, there's someone here who wants to talk to you. Hello, Ashley. My name is Mr. Long. You recently held a live stream, and I only have one question. How did you find out about the experiment? Are you an actor too? Did Harper hire you? My sister has already told me this was all just a stupid prank. Oh, of course, just a prank. You should forget it all. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I stayed at the orphanage and ignored all Harper's calls. I was furious with her, with our parents who had abandoned us, and with the hand life dealt me. Then one day, I found out that someone wanted to adopt a girl from our orphanage. When I looked out into the hallway, I saw some rich couple pulling Louise and Linda apart. That was Mr. Long. I thought he was an actor, but now I wasn't so sure. Why did he only want to adopt one of the twins? While they were in the director's office, I called Harper and asked her to come to the orphanage at once. She arrived with Hang just as Mr. Long and his wife were sitting Linda into their car. The poor thing was sobbing. No, I want to stay with Louise. You are going to have a new home now. Hang, follow that car. I'm not a taxi driver, I'm an actor. Do as she says. I'll pay you later. Okay. As we drove, I told them that the experiment might have been real. Harper and I might not have been a part of it, but the other twins could have been test subjects. And now those behind it were trying to drag Louise and Linda into it. Soon, Mr. and Mrs. Long stepped in front of a huge house and took Linda inside. We need to gather evidence and contact the police. I'm out. This is too much for me. Hang left and my sister and I hid under the Longs' open window. Please let me apologize. It was selfish of me to complain about my perfect life. We can talk about this later, Harper. After an hour, we finally heard something interesting. Linda calmed down and fell asleep. We need to tell our higher-ups that experiment number 99 has begun. Did you take care of Ashley? Everyone who watched the stream thinks she's crazy. Ashley won't be a problem. She thinks it was all her sister's prank. We recorded their conversation and then contacted the police. Of course, at first, the cops thought we were trying to prank them. However, we convinced them to take us seriously. It turned out that Mr. and Mrs. Long's names and documents were fake. The couple escaped before they could be arrested, though. Did that mean they worked for a secret organization? I didn't know. It was the cops' job to find that out, not mine. For now, it was enough for me that Linda came back and reunited with her sister. The cops discovered something about Miss Carter, too. It turned out that she had been stealing the money meant for the orphanage. That's how she managed to afford her expensive car. That witch deserved to rot in prison. A good man became the new principal of our orphanage. He immediately renovated it and bought a lot of new furniture and toys for us. Our gray home became a place full of joy. Girls, even orphans can go far in life. I'm about to go to college and prove it to you. Hi, what are we doing today? I've got an idea. I forgave Harper. We might have lived different lives, but we are still a family. What would you do in my place?